Are you going to need to raise money for this to satisfy these payments?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm sure everybody will ask the same question. So we closed June with 14 million Australian dollars. That payment's due within 30 days of signing the mining convention. But if you look at some of the options or historical warrants that were issued by GoviEx from their last capital raising, there's about 53 million options that are exercisable at 31 cents, and we're in conversations with those option holders. Yeah, we don't need to come to market. Even if those options didn't come through, then I think we'd close the year with 4 million in the bank.
This is general advice and my opinions only. This episode's company has paid me for this interview. I may be long, short, or hold an interest in stocks or CFDs mentioned. Past performance isn't reliable. The interviewee's views are their own, not necessarily mine. LEVRD operates as a corporate authorised representative 00131 8377 under AFSL 548573. You can find our financial services guide via the LEVRD website, link in the show notes.
In the world of uranium, Atomic Eagle CEO Phil Hoskins, I don't know if you're trying to fly under the radar, but the Nigerian newspaper ruined that for you, mate. Chucking the photo up on the news not long ago, and yourself and Grant. Welcome back to LEVRD, mate. Big thing going on in your world.
Yeah, thanks, Matty. The Atomic Eagle doesn't fly under the radar, mate. We do everything we can to stay front and centre, but I guess what you're referring to is there's been a long time negotiating what's come about today, and after Grant and I had spent 8 or 9 days in country back in June, the government came out and spoke about what we were talking about. So we would have much preferred to wait until it was all done, but I guess that gave a little taste of what was to come, and obviously really pleased with getting it all over the line, and it's such a significant event for the company and a real re-rating event. So we're really pleased.
Good work, mate. Right, go through the asset, the one we're talking about. We previously talked about mostly your assets in Zambia, but the OG Atomic Eagle from GoviEx. This is going to take some punters down memory lane here. You've resecured your Niger asset, 60% of it anyway. Go through the deal. Well, what are we adding?
Yeah, so people may recall from the last chat that Atomic Eagle acquired GoviEx Uranium Inc. and listed on the ASX in November 2025. The target of that asset was the Muntanga Uranium Project in Zambia, and this was sort of the steak knives. This was the option value at the time, which we always knew it's a significant asset, but it had been expropriated by the Niger government back in 2024. There'd been some international arbitration proceedings that had kicked off, and new Atomic Eagle management had to decide what we want to do with the asset. Our view was a long and protracted international arbitration would probably be a distraction for the market and for management, would take up cost, and we felt that getting the asset back would be far more constructive for shareholder value in the near term. So we set about a strategy of engaging with the government. The government were open from the get-go, and I first met with them in Saudi Arabia in January. There's been many meetings in Niger. Grant and I have spent a considerable amount of time there, have always felt safe there for what it's worth. And what we've now got to and landed upon is this project coming back to us. So a little bit about the project first, and I guess then we can get into the deal that we've struck. So the project is the Madaouela Uranium Project. It was the flagship asset of GoviEx for almost 20 years. There was $160 million spent on the asset and around 600,000 metres drilled. So it's a significant technical data set, and what that's underpinned is a globally significant resource of 116.5 million pounds at 1,282 ppm. And the last feasibility study done in November 2022. So it's a significant asset in anybody's calculations, and we negotiated to get it back. Now, what does it mean, negotiating to get it back? So we are now a 60% shareholder of a brand new Niger subsidiary called Madaouela Mining Company SA, or MAMICO for short. So we're a 60% shareholder, and consistent with the law, the government is a 15% free carriage shareholder, and we also needed to deal with the 25% or up to 25% shareholding that the Niger government is able to subscribe for, and becomes a contributing interest moving forward. And can talk a little bit more about that. And so for all of this, we're paying $5 million US upfront within 30 days of signing the mining convention. There's another $5 million payment at making FID. And also there's, for that contributory interest, we're also willing to allow a $40 million deemed number for the government. So sort of carrying them for the first $40 million of their equity contribution. So of course the government wanted to take something away from it. They've been really good to deal with over the last 6 or 7 months. But yeah, a great result for us. And I think the mining convention itself is the other critical part to all of those conversations. It's taking a mining code where we felt there were many holes and many things requiring clarification. We've been able to negotiate what we believe is the best mining convention the country has seen. It's provided tax and legal stabilisation. It sets out all the terms that are in today's announcements, and also critical things like offtake rights and things that we think go to the value of the project moving forward in our hands and in the hands of other potential strategic investors. So yeah, all in all, spoken for a while there, mate, but yeah, there's a fair bit in here.
I think you better get good practice at it, mate. You're going to be repeating that a bit this week when you're on the road. Before we get into the deal, mate, I just want to talk about that region a bit. So I've got it up on screen here. So very creatively named the Uranium Highway. It's a bit like the Great Northern Highway. And obviously roads are there for a reason, because they're obviously near a lot of minerals. So I guess you've got DASA down the bottom, so Global Atomics Project, which you know, also been through which is, you know, under development. They've had trouble securing the money. Imeraren, that's the bit west of that. So that's the URANO asset also that's had dramas. Then Azalec, so that's the CENC one, the China one, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, and then you're up the north with Samare, which is the other URANO one. So, mate, just a bit about that region, those projects, and I guess the fact that you've, you know, got the ball rolling with a new framework back in with the government, and I guess what it means for all of them around the region.
Yeah, I think historically, and I won't get it precise, but I think Niger might have been 5% contributor to global uranium production. And that uranium production dates back, I think, to the 1970s. URANO with Samare or Samare, with your French translation there.
Samare, yep, good.
But yeah, been producing for 50 plus years, I think, and Cominac as well. Both those mines are within 15 kilometres of Madaouela. Cominac, I think, was potentially the largest underground uranium mine in the world. It's completely mined out, and I think finished in 2021. I think it's around 150 million pounds. And these numbers will be wrong by a little bit, but our announcement and presentation will go through these. But yeah, about 150 million pounds mined. Samaye's had about 170 million pounds mined and has another 50 to go. And URANO put that also on care and maintenance, subject to conversations with the government. Imeraren, which I don't know how to pronounce that myself, is a huge deposit, several hundred million pounds, but undeveloped at this stage. DAS is a high-grade proposed underground development. As you said, Global Atomic, TSX-listed company, in conversations with the Development Finance Corporation, and Azalec is the Chinese consortium, CNNC. So there's a significant uranium endowment in this part of the world, and no doubt that what the Niger government sees moving forward is that with that uranium endowment, it needs to be exploited in this new cycle that we're going into. And that's certainly what we've put forward to them, is an undertaking to update the feasibility studies and environmental approvals and pursue financing over a 2-year period. But I believe that there may be other conversations to follow, and the whole region is so strategic, and from a geostrategic sort of standpoint, and we know the US government from an economic interest and a security interest point of view, and we know the Chinese, that there's significant interest in such high quality uranium assets, and we're just really pleased to be back and playing a part of that.
So compared to your Muntanga project in Zambia, like, yes, you've only got 60% of this, but on a resource basis, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about double the tonnes and over double the grade. So like 1,200 ppm compared to, the African stuff that we've been, like your Namibia style deposits, which are in the 200s, 300s, 400s. Like that's the big kicker in this region, is significantly higher grade.
Yeah, that's right. So just on those numbers, Muntanga's about 60 million pounds at 309 ppm. And this is on a 100% basis, this is 116 million pounds at 1282 PM. So it's twice the size of Muntanga from a scale point of view. It's 4 times the grade of Muntanga, but it's 5 times the grade of Bannerman, or maybe even 6. So it's a significant project, and you can't overlook that. So yeah, it's fantastic to have it back. I guess that you'd notionally call that a tripling of our resource base, although if you look at the attributable numbers, so our 60% share of 116 comes to 70 million pounds. So you're more than doubling your resource base. You're obviously significantly improving your grade profile, and you're moving from being a single asset developer to a dual asset developer, with both assets being high quality and, in my opinion, capable of being online by 2030, when we're going to be hitting deficits in the market. So it's quite a privileged position to be in. I think it's quite a unique position to be in, that it is a significant uranium endowment, but 2 projects that I believe will be mineable in the not too distant future.
The deal, mate, these 2 payments, the $5 million within 30 days, then another $5 million on construction. So that's circa 8 million Aussie. Are you going to need to raise money for this to satisfy these payments, or the first one, I mean?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm sure everybody will ask the same question. So we closed June with 14 million Australian dollars. That payment's due within 30 days of signing the mining convention. But if you look at some of the options or historical warrants that were issued by GoviEx from their last capital raising, there's about 53 million options that are exercisable at 31 cents, and we're in conversations with those option holders because they are strategic players. It's our largest shareholder, Zambian Pension Fund, current director Govan Friedland, historical director Eric Kraft. We're in conversations with those guys about early exercise, because they're currently due for exercise on the 5th of May next year. And so, trying to bring that in to ensure that we don't need to raise. And I'm certain that we'll get a resolution there. And we don't need to come to market. Even if those options didn't come through, then I think we'd close the year with 4 million in the bank. But I think we will get a result on some of those options early.
What if there's full exercise of all that? I don't know if she said it. How much would that bring in the bank?
16.4 Aussie. You'd be absolutely done, and not needing to raise through to end of next year, even with all the studies and the drilling and everything else that we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So once this gets going, I just want to go over the structure, the credit, and everything like that with Niger. So the 25% contributing interest. So if you start drilling again, are they up for 25% of the drilling costs?
It's all expenditures, all equity expenditures from this time onwards within that company, Madaouela Mining Company. But our plan it's probably worth talking about our forward plans. So we've got a 2-year window to update feasibility studies, environmental approvals, and look to financing. What that's going to look like. So there's no need to do any more drilling. The data set, when you spend $160 million, you can believe you've got a high quality package of data. And worth saying that 96 million of the 116 million pounds is measured and indicated. So when you're talking about studies for the ASX, there's no problem rolling that entire 116 million pounds into a study. So from a data point of view, there will be no need to drill, but where will the opportunities come from? Just start with the resource. I know that's not the economics, but from the resource was last estimated and constrained at $70 a pound. The long-term price average at the moment is $95.50. So if you were to update that resource at a higher uranium price, you're probably talking about 130 million pounds constrained, and that will be one of the bits of work in the back part of the year. We'll be doing a JORC resource. So you might note that the resource was announced as a foreign resource estimate. All that means is that it was NI 43-101, and we haven't done the conversion to JORC yet. We want to do that at a higher uranium price, and I guess I'm guiding that will actually result in a larger number of pounds coming on the book. But then moving to the economics, and the last feasibility study done in November 2022, it was an NI 43-101 FS done by GoviEx, and that was done, the mining optimisation was done at $55 a pound. And as I mentioned, we're at 95 long-term today. The economics in that were done at $65 a pound. So you're sort of hopping around on the numbers there. But again, at a higher price, I think if you insert today's price into that historical study, I think the NPV was over $600 million US dollars. If you insert $120 a pound sort of long-term price that a lot of people run with, you're over $1 billion US NPV. And we believe there are substantial opportunities to improve the economics of that previous study, particularly focused on the mine optimisation, on the underground room and pillar mining method that was adopted previously, and also on trying to bring some of the underground alongside the open pit to improve the production profile. So we think there's a lot of opportunities to make the economics look better, notwithstanding the fact that a high uranium price, it's obviously looking really good.
Yeah. Okay. So the free carried interest, that free carried 15%, that is all the way until FID, construction, or where's that till?
So free carry, and same with every country, I guess within Africa that has a free carry, that's non-dilutable forever. So we could build a mine. This is the 15% shareholding, that is. So you could build a mine, raise the funds, they stay at 15%. We could expand production and need another several $100 million, and they don't need to ever chip in for that. So that will always be 15%.
Yeah.
The 25% is the one that can be diluted, and there's a dilution formula in there about that. So just for the sake of the maths, so we obviously needed to offer some things back up, albeit begrudgingly, given we had spent significant money or GoviEx had spent significant money historically on the project. We needed to be able to give something up to get this back and move forward past the dispute. And one of the things that we did to do that was to offer this $40 million credit towards future equity contributions. So how does that work? If there was $400 million worth of funding required to build the mine, and this is just a nice round number, if the government chose not to contribute towards their contributory interest, so I think their share of any numbers would be 25 divided by 85. So that's their 25% divided by the total shareholdings, excluding the free carry.
Yep.
If they didn't want to contribute that, then their 40 deemed credit divided by a total funding of 400, they'd get diluted down to 10% of that number. So that from 25% shareholding, they'd go down to 10% shareholder. So, so that's how that sort of dilution formula would work, that they would still hold, albeit a smaller shareholding, by not contributing to further capital. And I, in no way do I want to try to imply that that is the government's position. The government have said to us that they have every intent of being aligned with us and investing alongside the owner of Madaouela moving forward.
So you're saying that they have the choice whether to utilise that $40 million credit, and if they don't, they just choose to contribute for their 25% contributing interest. They'll stay at 25%, and the $40 million doesn't matter a thing.
Yeah, well, I think that it just reduces the amount they need to contribute. So if they said they want to contribute, I don't know what 25 on 85 is times 400, but say it was 100, then they would take the 40 off.
Okay.
They would need to contribute 60.
Yep.
And then they would maintain that 25%. So it is a credit towards their future funding. Now, someone's obviously got to fund that, and that would be the party putting the remainder of the funding in.
Yeah, okay, understood. Okay, so with all this going on, in parallel with Muntanga in Zambia, where is the priority at the moment? I assume this obviously took a lot of man-hours of yourselves being over in Niger to negotiate it, but where's this sitting on the pecking order compared to Zambia?
Yeah, it's like asking you about your kids, I guess. But one thing that I want to be clear on is we pursued GoviEx not for this asset. We did pursue GoviEx for Muntanga because we believed that it had great exploration potential and ability to grow. It's a very simple heap leach operation with high recoveries, low acid consumption. We've seen with Bannerman an ability to attract significant capital for a high quality project in a great jurisdiction, and Zambia is that. Zambia only sits behind Botswana and Morocco within Africa from on the Fraser Institute. So we really love being in Zambia. We like that asset, and we like what we've seen from the drilling so far. And so nothing changes in our commitment to that, and we've got a dedicated team in Zambia and within our team on advancing that. But 2026, as you'll recall, is still a year of drilling, and 2027 would become a year of feasibility studies there. So, but what does it mean? I don't think it detracts from that, but we will, as quickly as we can, we have assembled a study team to oversee the updated study for Madaouela. We will be getting the environmental approvals ready as well. As I've mentioned, there are a significant number of optimizations and opportunities to improve the economics. But I think that will be via a scoping study to begin with, because what we are targeting there is a much larger throughput mine, which will mean that you won't have time in, say, the next sort of 4 to 5 months to be able to do the detailed engineering on what a larger scale mine looks like. But so that can all come. But yeah, we really want to work through those studies, environmental approvals, and then be running financing processes in parallel. And I think this is maybe where your question comes into it as well. I don't think we're silly enough to think as a junior that you can be biting off like funding 2 development stage assets in Africa at the same time. When we go to look at the traditional debt and equity sources for Madaouela, that time frame will come far sooner than it would come for Zambia. And at the same time, it'll be considering strategic alternatives. And that's one thing this whole transaction has done, is really opened up the strategic optionality for us. We'll entertain some of those conversations for the Madaouela project as part of financing, and obviously the company's open to any transaction that is in the best interest of shareholders. So we know there's going to be no shortage of suitors that are interested in getting involved, and particularly on the equity side of that. And yeah, it's going to be, I think, a really exciting 6 to 12 months for the company to show what Madaouela can do economically at today's uranium price, to then prosecute those sort of various financing options and strategic options, and albeit while Muntanga is doing its thing, growing resources and turning into what we think can be an economic mine at the right scale for a simple heap leach in Zambia.
This region, mate, like these potential strategics, you can give away as much of your opinion as you want on this, but I'll try and get something out of you. Between the Chinese presence there already in the south, seems from history that the French, the URANO, aren't really, I don't know if the word is welcome or at all. Like, you guys have got yourselves back in there. Who do you think some of the dominant players are going to be? Like, is China, with their presence in other African countries and their presence in Niger already, is that maybe where this area might head long term?
Yeah, look, I think that China's already shown their appetite for strategic investments and acquisitions in this space, and they obviously know where this sector is heading, and we know how aggressively they are building new reactors. So I know they are, and I'm certain they'll continue to be interested in the project. We know the US government are interested in this region. We know the US government have offered $900 million to URANO via the Department of Energy, the US Department of Energy, to build enrichment capacity in the US. I don't pretend to know the strategic conversations going on between those groups, but I think one of the roadblocks to it all is that there is obviously a messy situation between URANO and the state of Niger as to how to unpick what's gone on there. And I don't profess to know who's done what to who there, but there's a lot of uranium sitting in barrels at site. There's, as I said, still 50 million pounds to be mined and processed at Somaïr, and there's still this huge undeveloped project at U₃O₈ and to the south. And what happens in all of that, I think is a big battle as to who can come in. There's an international arbitration, I believe, sitting over the top of URANO and the state. But certainly looks like a region where for the right amount of dollars and the right sort of commitments, whether that be assisting with security in the region or financial commitments, certainly looks like a region that could contribute quite significantly to any large sovereign state's desires moving forward from a nuclear point of view.
Yeah. Thanks for that, mate. Appreciate it. Right, next announcement. What are we going to hear from you next coming up for Newsflow?
Yeah, I think it's going to be continued, and sorry to move away from Niger, I think it's going to be continued exploration results out of Muntanga through the whole end of the year. The resource update there, we'll wait till the first quarter of next year because you're sort of drilling all the way through to December there until the wet season hits in. Within Madaouela, it'll be the commencement of the study. It'll be a JORC resource, which, as I mentioned, I expect would result in a larger number of pounds. And then into a scoping study, I expect we'd be announcing that towards the back end of Q4 this year. And then from there, kicking off financing processes as well as then continuing to advance that study beyond scoping. But keep in mind, the only reason it's at scoping is not because a lot of this work hasn't been done to high standard. It's just because I expect we'll be changing the scale and size of the thing. So I think we can move through all of that quite quickly. We've got 2 projects that we are spending money on, and 2 projects that deserve to have money spent on them because they are near-term contributors to helping with this uranium deficit.
Very good, mate. Very good. Geez, with all that's going on, you're so much more comfortable this time. You're only in the seat for 3 weeks or something last time you come on. Hasn't a lot happened since then, Phil? Jesus, you've been busy.
Absolutely. Well, a good company is not born off a good quarter. So we've got to stitch together a good year and roll that into another year. So we're not done with yet. We're going to continue to work hard with the hard work actually with with Madaouela starts now, and geez, it's really exciting when you've got the canvas of 116 million pounds at 1,300 ppm to play with. Yeah, pretty exciting about what we can continue to show the market moving forward.
Good stuff, mate. Congrats to you. I guess you and the team, or you and Grant, going over to Niger and doing what you did. Doesn't come easy, so much congrats, mate. Good to get the win, because Jesus Christ, it would have been annoying if it didn't come through after all those trips.
No, absolutely. No, thank you for the sentiment. And I should say 7 months to negotiate this sort of deal is actually quite quick. Took me 4 years in Tanzania to get something similar done. So I think that speaks to how receptive the Niger government are to a company that is willing to come in and make the commitment of time that Grant and I have to the country, and also Bill Hayden, who was an old advisor to Ivanhoe back in the day. We made that commitment. I think the government sees that commitment, and it's also why I think from a political risk point of view moving forward that we are in the government's good graces. Fingers crossed we stay that way. But in my opinion, as long as we're doing what we said and we undertook to do studies and environmental approvals and progress financing, we will be doing those things, and we'll be communicating that with them and the market. Then I think this becomes about execution more than political risk. And with African governments, you just got to keep them informed about what you're doing. And as I said, it's going to be pretty exciting. I like delivering good news, and I think that's what we're going to continue to be doing to the Niger government over the next little period.
Well, this is delivering surprising news, mate. No one saw it coming, so well done. Good stuff. Right, mate, thanks for coming on LEVRD again, and we will be chatting again. Go the Eagle.
Thanks, Matty. Appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.